So let's go ahead and clap it.
Imagine with me, we all go back in time to 1889. Now, of course, this was 4 years after the first at-home thermostat was invented. It's finally here, the day has arrived. You actually leave work early just to see them install your new piece of material. And so you get there early, and you're standing over them, and they can barely work because you're so close. And you're amazed at the simplicity, be it complexity, of what appears to be just a simple on and off switch. So the night has finally arrived, and so you run outside and turn on your new device. So you run inside and you start to get sleepy because your house starts to get nice and cozy and warm. And all of a sudden, you wake up dripping in sweat and see that it's 3 in the morning and your house is 95 degrees inside because you forgot to turn off your heater. And now you are deathly afraid of the electric bill waiting for you at the end of the month. So a thermostat is a control system that senses the inside building temperature, and it does this by maintaining the temperature by turning on and off the heating and cooling system. And so according to an October 20th, 2014 article by Emily Goosen on the website telegraph.com, she says that the vast majority of people believe that they're using their thermostats to the best of their abilities, where new research has shown that 70% of people are actually making at least one basic error that is costing them dearly. And to even go further, on a personal interview conducted on December 6, 2015, Craig Cato, the general manager of Rivco Mechanical, states that people who install programmable thermostats into their homes and businesses save as much as 30% on their electrical bill. So today, first I'll be showing you the history of the thermostat. Second, we will go over how it works. And lastly, I will show you the future of the thermostat. So there are a few distinct benchmarks that have changed the thermostat forever. And the first one we're going to be talking about is the damper flapper. And this is obviously a picture of one, of what a modern day one would look like. And so it was invented in 1885 by Albert Blitz. And what he did is he obviously revolutionized how we heat our homes today. It was the start of it all. And so in 1885, he got a patent for his invention and decided that he wanted to start his own business. Unfortunately, being an awful businessman, within 2.5 years, he ended up having to file for bankruptcy, unfortunately. But he did revolutionize the thermostat forever. And one of his good friends came along and actually decided to buy the rights to his patent and started a little company called Honeywell. Now, if you haven't heard of Honeywell, they're actually one of the largest corporations now in America and are the #1 thermostat sales company in the nation. And so when they took over the patent, they decided that the first thing they were going to do was install a little clock in it that would kind of like click and be really annoying, but it would click and you could put pens in it of where you wanted to turn the air conditioning off or turn it back on, which was, for back in its day, a huge advancement in the technology for just having to only have it on or off. You couldn't turn it off without having to actually go out there and do it yourself. And so on an article on December 22nd, 2011, on the independent.com, this is written by Kate Hilpin. She says that when you think that just turning off your thermostat just by 1 degree, you can save 10% of your energy. Now, Honeywell really took this to heart, and we're going to skip ahead in time to the 1980s, which is the digital revolution and where the digital stat really took off. And so obviously Honeywell overcame this, and they revolutionized the digital stat. And actually on October 22nd, 2011, Matthew Gordon, one of Honeywell's marketing managers, says that the Circle Well Honeywell stat, or the digital stat, revolutionized the way that we use thermostats today and remains still in production today and sits on more walls in America than any other stat, which truly shows again that Honeywell overcame this great feat and rose to the challenge for the technology. So now that we understand the history of the thermostat, let me show you how it works. So we're going to start back where we started again, with the damper flapper. On a personal interview conducted with Greg Lavoie, one of Honeywell's head service managers, he says that the damper flapper revolutionized the thermostat, and even though it was nothing more than just an on or off switch. And how the damper flapper worked it was connected to your furnace, and if you remember the picture from my last slide, you would literally lift that thing up so you have to run outside in the cold, and you have to lift the flap up, which would allow fresh air to come in, and so it would obviously fan the flame of your furnace, which would heat your home. And in fact, Encyclopedia says it best by Thomas Gale. He writes this in 2006, and he says the damper flapper lifted the damper and allowed fresh air to fan the flame in your furnace, and in such would, in result, heat your home. So now, the Circle Honeywell stat. This is a base model of right exactly the beginning of when this started. This actually isn't digital, even though the baseline for these Honeywell circular stat was digital. But anyways, the main advancement from this one and how it worked was the fact that you could actually control this now from inside your home instead of, like I said, having to run outside in the cold and go turn it on or off. And you could also turn it up to like 75, and so it would run at like half speed instead of having the flap all the way open and heat your house to 100 degrees or having it be freezing. So, and it also just revolutionized the way and just was another huge step in the history of the thermostat. And so now that we understand the history of the thermostat and how it works, let's talk about the future of the thermostat. So there are two distinct parts we're going to be talking about today, and that is the effect that it has on our homes and our businesses. So first, the homes. Now this is a picture of one of the new and latest and greatest Nest thermostats. It was invented by a former Apple employee. He actually, almost by himself, invented the iPod and then left Apple and decided to do that and create the Nest. And he actually just recently sold it to Google for $30 million, so I'm sure he's not working anymore. And so what the Nest can actually do is it has a motion sensor in it. So when you walk by your house or walk by in front of where that is, it knows that you're home. And after about a month, it promises that it'll memorize your family's schedule to where it'll know when to turn on, when to turn up, if you'll be gone. If it knows you're going to be gone on Mondays at school for 3 hours, don't turn it off because it won't be able to cool the house down enough time. So it's pretty much designed to save you the most money. And so now our businesses. There is this new technology that has recently come out in the last year, and it's called the proximity sensor. And so what that does is it's pretty much just pointed towards the villas and everything that we have here, which is perfect for the desert, like hotels and casinos. And so in fact, what it does is that you check into your hotel and they'll ask you to download an app, and now the amazing technology on our phones, our phones always know where we are, which is kind of scary, but that's for another story. And so what it does is then your phone will send the sensor to the thermostat of where you are at all times. And it has these little bubbles or boundaries in a sense, so that if you go outside the 5-mile boundary, it will move the thermostat up a couple degrees to save as much electricity as possible. And then when you go outside, say a 15-mile radius, it will go up some more. And when you go outside, say a 50-mile radius, it will turn the air conditioning off completely to save the most amount of money for everyone around. And so, but it works amazingly the exact opposite way, to where when you get back in the 50 miles, it'll turn back on and lower it down to an average temperature, which is still saving money. And then within 10 minutes, or within 10 miles, it will be able to go back down to your reasonable temperature. And on a personal interview by Greg Knoll, he says he's the head engineer of Marriott DSV. He states that they have saved over $250,000 just in the first year of this product. So in review, I told you about the history, how it works, and the future of the thermostat. Now, thankfully, with the advancements, we don't have to worry about waking up to a 95-degree room or finding Ed, like this poor fellow, from solids. Thank you.